Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Thechrisvossshow.com. Here, bringing you the top tech news of the day. Usually about the tech 4 or 5 articles that we really like to talk about. And we've got Jason Nunnally here with us. How's it going, Jason?
It's going awesome.
Going awesome. And, of course, we'll have some product stuff at the end of what the Chris Voss Show is reviewing today. So let's talk about the top lead story that's kind of going on right now. Lenovo evidently has been putting some interesting software on their stuff, or at least they were.
Yeah, they're putting Superfish on laptops. They got kind of, I would say caught, except for I guess Windows people just know they're supposed to get crap injected into their web browsing. Superfish is a tool that uses a sort of a man-in-the-middle attack where it intercepts things you browse on the web, changes the UX or UI, and inserts advertising for their advertisers. And apparently Lenovo had a deal with them, and a Chrome security expert recently came out and said they were using a very old self-generated root certificate standard for the intercept tool, which basically exposed people who had this, I would call it, they called it adware, I'd call it malware, that exposed people who had that on their systems to getting their information intercepted because it does this intercept. It's a man in the middle that apparently could be exposed.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, isn't it? I mean, there seems to be no end to greed and how far willing companies are to throw users under the bus. It's like, hey, let's put some malware that opens the door on your thing so we can make a couple bucks in ad money. In the meantime, every hacker's running off your computer as a bot. That's great. Thanks, Lenovo.
Well, so the interesting thing is Lenovo, if you there's a Recode article actually about you sent me the link to this. It talks about how the pre-installed Superfish bot, as I'd like to call it, has been removed from foregoing PC distribution and then disabled on old PC distribution. But it's important to note that they just did this in January this year, and this was reported first back in June of 2014.
Oh wow!
So it's been out there a really long time, and they're claiming that PCs shipped between September and December were probably still, I'm going to call it infected with Superfish. I've seen Superfish a lot on Windows computers. It's relatively innocuous so long as you understand that what its job is to throw advertising up on your web browsing experience that's not part of the websites you're visiting. So I don't know. You know, I know that I don't come from the Windows world. I use Linux and Mac, and I'm a little less tolerant of people hijacking my user experience. But is this normal? Is this something people expect when they buy a Windows computer? That it's going to be
no, not at all.
Lenovo is one of the.
I have stuff that I have like Spybot, whose job is it to watch for these things that do it. I wonder if it bypasses Spybot. Then I'll also have Antibots, Bytes, malware. You know, the 3 things you have to watch out for with Windows is you've got malware, then you've got viruses, and then you've got, I guess, adware, spyware, what do they call it, where it comes down with cookies and monitors your key types and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, key capture.
Yeah. So you have to watch out for all 3 of those if you're on Windows. I don't know. Mac seems to be getting its fair share of hacks lately.
Well, the difference is that Apple doesn't install the hacks.
No, they just make their software so shitty that people can hack into it. The reason most for a long time no one wrote virusware and hackware for Macs was because they only represent, I think, what, 3 or 4% of the volume of computer purchases. And no one really wants to hack the computers of a bunch of dope smoking. What was that old commercial, the Mac commercial with the lazy dope smoking hacker guy and
high on a PC. You know, funny enough, he actually did get busted for weed, so there's no defense against that. Mm-hmm. That actor actually got busted for weed.
I think you're thinking of the Dell guy though.
No, the Dell. You're right. I am thinking about the Dell guy. All right. So everybody who deals with technology smokes weed.
No, it was just kind of funny. I'm just referencing that old commercial where the grungy loser kid without a job would always try and show up the guy with the suit who would use Windows. So I'm just playing on that old par.
I think there is something to the fact, though. You know, I always heard this argument back when it's like 04, 05, when Apple really made the big turn in market share. And by the way, yeah, 3% of total computers on the internet, not 3% of total devices connected and using the internet. Those statistics are dramatically different, and especially when you look at new sales. In new sales, Apple laptops are really rather successful, and they have been for several years. I think the difference is people who use Macs are people who want to get work done and don't have time for jacking around with their computers. Windows people like to screw around with their computers. They like to, reinstall the operating system, add crap onto it, play games. It's a different market, and one of the reasons that I happen to know a little bit about BSD because I used to play around with BSD in my servers. Darwin's a pretty solid underbelly, and the likelihood of you hacking Darwin without getting user interactions not very good. It's a pretty solid underbelly. That's Unix for you people who don't give a crap about operating systems.
All right, before you get too nerdy and lose our crowd, let's move on to the next article. So bad Lenovo, bad dog, go to your corner, sit
But
Lenovo,
it raises a question, is Lenovo alone in this, or is this something everybody's doing?
I doubt they're alone. I mean, what's probably going to come out in the next couple days is, we find out everyone else is doing it. It's kind of like the recent Samsung TV thing where people were freaking out about how Samsung's like, oh my God, the NSA can hear what we're saying through our fucking TV. Now it turns out every fucking TV maker has the same software installed. So it's like, I'm sure we're going to find out there's more of this crap going on. It's never-ending search for dollars over consumer interests.
So you should link to this. There's a Lifehacker post. Just found it. How to test your PC for the new Superfish security vulnerability. This is funny. I want to read this though. Since Google and some other search engines use HTTPS, the connections between them and users' browsers are encrypted and cannot be manipulated to inject content. However, the problem with Superfish's approach is that it uses the same root certificate with the same RSA key in all installations. That's the problem? The problem is that they're using the same key. It's not that they're installing this malware on people's computers and hijacking their user experience. It's that the way they're doing it exposes them to a third-party hack. It's an interesting view of it. But anyway, there's a Lifehacker article on how to test to see if you have this questionable software on your computer.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So let's talk about some of the other things that are going on. Of course they're hacking. Wow, they're trying to make money off this. I just feel like this. I just feel so much like a product now more than ever. Where I'm just the product whore. It's just like, fuck me with your product any way you want. Fuck me in the ass. Fuck me in the face. Fuck me in the mouth. Just take your product, your ad, and just fuck me. Speaking
should segue this into that Facebook thing. But go ahead.
Speaking of ads and fucking me, YouTube has made a really hard move against creators that want to put up graphical title cards and basically that are selling their ads. YouTube has done such a poor job of selling abs. They've sold abs. Of selling ads, that a lot of creators are going out and selling their own ads directly and making more money doing it, sometimes through other platforms like Patreon, which we're working with right now to put together a tech show. So, and the problem is YouTube isn't doing their fucking job For years, it was known that YouTube didn't have a big enough sales department, and a sales department that would do their job. The CEO has said they're working on it, and it will come in the future, but it sounds like a politician is going to tell me someday they're going to fix Social Security. So now they've come up with a thing where they pretty much banned it, so YouTube creators, now can't make side money off of sponsorships with title cards to be put on their thing. It really is upsetting because, the money just dwindles every month from YouTube, and YouTube creators just have a harder and harder time making money. It seems to be becoming more on YouTube that it's basically what's the economic principle that we live under here in America, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? That seems to be the platform that we're running on YouTube now. Unless you're like in the top 10 people on YouTube that are soaking up all the volume and ad money, you're not getting shit.
What are the numbers? Curious, what are the numbers for people that are in that? The YouTube stars, for example, the people that are earning really good money on YouTube.
It varies. I mean, the thing is I know people that they're making good money, but it just comes down and down and down. There's one gal that I just saw recently. She's got her own YouTube channel where she integrates makeup, but she also integrates really well ads. But it's not really ads, but it's product placement of stuff. She just bought a $1.5 million house in Europe. Yeah, they're making really good money. There's a lot of people making really good money, and that's probably well, I don't know what pays for that $1.5 million house, but the way she does her product placement, and it's really distinct. It's really amazing. She's doing like 2 million views per video and stuff, but it's actually quite brilliant. She actually shows, she's a young girl who actually shows how she uses and applies her makeup, and so you realize that there's probably half of her market share is watching her apply this makeup, and it's a lot of young girls who are into this thing on YouTube that's really popular, where they learn how to do different forms of putting on makeup and applying it, and but she does really obvious product placement. It's like she'll be showing herself doing the thing, and then she'll like hold up I don't know any brands because I don't do makeup, but she'll like hold up the lipstick and it'll like type out the name of the brand. I'm like, wow, I wonder who's getting paid on that one. So it's like really in your face product, but it's done nicely and presented well and filmed well, edited well. There's some nice music, and so you kind of just lull right through it like, oh, that's wonderful. But she's got to be making some serious ass fucking money from product placement stuff, especially when it's so obvious, where it's like Max Factor. It's like that's a lot of work to reference Max Factor, unless you're getting paid. So she's built this power channel, and God bless her. Hey, what the fuck, man? However you can make money, and as long as it doesn't hurt people and makes the world a better place, well, knock yourself out. So, but yeah, it's just bullshit. The YouTube should really, it's losing so much business to Twitch. It's losing so much business to Patreon, and it's doing it because it's just not managing its money and its ads correctly. The thing I get tired of over and over again is anytime I'm on YouTube, I see the same ad. Like if I sit down and watch 10 videos, pretty much going to see the same damn ad 10 times. And I don't know, maybe that's good for saturation, but it really tells me that their ad inventory is real shit. So I don't know what to do about that one. So there you go.
So what about, I finally, I'm not cool enough to have been one of the early adopters. I'm sure you were on the Twitter video thing before me. But I finally got into Twitter video. Mm-hmm. By the way, I don't get it. I just don't. I can post video kind of like I used to be able to post a picture. What do you flip and do? It's not a particularly good or useful tool. It doesn't give me a lot of editing options. The question is, a lot of people see YouTube as soft, and I've been one of the people who've talked about this for a while, I really view YouTube space as soft. And
soft isn't how.
I think there's an opportunity for somebody to build brand to push video that's a little less obnoxious. I think YouTube is super obnoxious. I think the ads have gotten way out of hand. I'm watching a 2-minute video and it takes me, 2 minutes to go through their stupid ad process. And I really view YouTube, and I'll tell you somebody that's really taken a big chunk out of YouTube is Facebook. There's a lot of people going straight to Facebook because audience is so much more accessible on Facebook at this point if you have a big Facebook audience already. So there's a really neat conversation I'm not sure anybody's supposed to know about. I saw you talking to a member of Lincoln Park talking about their Facebook penetration, about their distribution on that video. And you know what I'm talking about, right? It's like,
yeah.
You can't talk about it, I know, but it's a great video. It was such an insight to how that process works. And I just wonder how many people realize that, your Facebook distribution, even if you have to pay for it, even if you're paying for the penetration, is so much cleaner and so much faster because you don't have the ad space.
Sometimes you have to pay for penetration.
Oh, it's a hickory-dickory dot going on there. So that's shout out
I'm not sure what that. You're talking about YouTube, right?
Yeah. Well, so the thing is, my question to you: what do you think about YouTube holding that total domination space they've got right now with this? It's you say they're not doing a good job of selling ads, and yet they're obnoxiously stacked with advertising.
And maybe that's why they're not selling ads well and doing well on it, is because advertisers look at it and go, Jesus, that's obnoxious.
Well, I can tell you that I don't know anybody right now that has a good ad model. Facebook's doing well because they're making money on the sides. They've gotten a game plan on their mobile product. I just know that I can play your video. I can play a Facebook video. And if I see the same video on Facebook or YouTube, I play it on Facebook every single time because the quality's there, it's fast, it's in my stream. I just wonder how much longer does YouTube dominate the video space? And
they just put out a PR thing that they like 50% of the videos viewed online in the past 3 years are from YouTube, but I think Facebook has eaten their lunch. Especially, me and Scoble have been privately talking about this for a month or two, and I was going to come out and say some to everybody, but I didn't want to tell anybody the secret. I was keeping that one to myself. But yeah, I started writing Scoble about 2 months ago, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, your video did like 10,000 views on Facebook, and it was Facebook specific. It was, it was on Facebook's platform. Like, holy fuck, I don't even think your posts get that much view. And then I started noticing mine were getting the same thing. Mine were getting like just out of control, like 700 views, and I only have like 1,400. Well, I have 1,400 people that I'm friends with, but I have like 19,000 followers. But still, I was just like, holy shit, my videos don't get that much view on YouTube. They over time they do, but not immediately within 24 hours. So you can tell that Facebook is going after YouTube, and it probably intends to. I'm not sure if I recalled any recent inline video acquisitions that it's made of talent or companies, but I'm sure they're going after what YouTube does when it comes to inline video advertising. And they probably intend, like they say, there's been a few articles that people have been coming out now outing it and going, video is the real key on YouTube or on Facebook, and I think it really is. I think it's going to also be important on Twitter. I've recently had to come to the conclusion that I'm way behind the 8 ball on Twitter, where I need to be posting more pictures and memes. The things that Joel Comm and our good friends Brian Johnson and a few other people are doing with memes, that's super important and super engaging. You've got to be doing that now. Like we did a review of our tweets on the Chris Voss Show, and the tweet referrals from Twitter just an abysmal all-time low off of manual tweets or off of text tweets. But the pictures of what we're seeing where brands are using especially trending topics to target memes and stuff is just off the chart. So it's really reanalyzing the game where you've now got to go after photos and video courses now coming up to where on par to where it's at. So welcome to the new world. Everything's going to be video in the future anyway, but they say by 2020. So 2016 on is going to be pretty crazy for video.
So did you decide that you think that Twitter is going to take a big chunk out of YouTube viewers?
No, Facebook is.
Facebook's going to be the one?
Yeah, Facebook is. Facebook's going to go after. I think Twitter is just so late to the game. It's not even funny. I mean, I'm not going to use. You're right. I'm not going to use the app to do video. I'll do video natively through my phone, and then send it where I want. Because usually I'm going to distribute video if I make it to like Google Plus and a few different sources. So I want to be able to distribute it natively through my phone. You know, there's some people that don't read my Facebook, and so like I have relatives that I have to send stuff to manually through Messenger if I want them to see a video or a picture or something.
You know, Andrew and I talked about Rewind and relaunching Rewind with a straight-through platform, about offering you know, an editing tool, for example, to give people sort of a Swiss Army knife of distributing video. And I look at this space, and I really view basically the future of being captured audience. You're going to have a Facebook audience. You're going to have a Twitter audience, and Twitter doesn't seem to be growing. Twitter seems to be in negative growth at this point. And I really think sending it, you know, through some kind of direct notification service, third-party hosting. It used to be you'd send a link to a YouTube video, but holy crap, YouTube! I just find YouTube advertising so obnoxious I can't sit through it.
I usually just I sit there waiting for those 4 seconds or 5 seconds to count down, and I'm banging away the button. I think the other day I did see something was really cool that I clicked on that I wanted to see what the product was, but it's really rare. But yeah, I mean, the only time that I can't click through it is if you force like a 17-second thing, and that's the other sad part of this bullshit where YouTube is telling you can't do your own private ads, at least not with a title card. It's bullshit because you know, I've had people. There was kind of this pathway that people went with my videos, and it's kind of interesting how it also pertains to the slow lowering of my YouTube payment every month. But you know, I had people that would call me and they'd be like, "Hey man, you know, there's lots of ads running on your YouTube videos." I'm like, "Yeah." So then people will start writing me and going, "Hey man, you know, God, there's that 5-second countdown thing on all your fucking videos, man. It's a real pain in the dick." I'm like, "Oh, what am I gonna do about it? You know, I gotta get paid for this shit." Then people started calling me and going, "Oh man, your videos now have got that 17-second, or was it 15-second, 20-second ad run that you can't opt out of. You have to watch the whole fucking 20 seconds of it." They're like, "Oh my God, it's on all your videos now." And there was just this progression of de-evolution of ads stacking on my shit. And they're like, "Man, can you turn that off?" I'm like, "I don't have any control over it. I'm YouTube's bitch." And in the meantime, my checks just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And part of it is because YouTube played this fuck you game where what they do is instead of paying you directly for the ads that are clicking on your thing, they pay you for how many people watch your video all the way to the end and how much the portion that contributes to their overall YouTube watching. And so they really fucked a lot of people out a lot of money doing that. Part of it is all of us content makers, since the length of your video hurts you, started making short, lower quality videos that had to be short and quick to the point, because if we made long videos like I used to with 30 or 40 minutes that were very explanatory and detailed and very educational, I got fucked. So so thanks YouTube. It's really backfired on them, and I think it's going to continue to backfire on them. They don't seem to be able to get their shit together there's a new CEO who's supposed to come on and supposed to be doing things right, but it just seems to be, everything I hear, it just sounds really political when it comes out, and doesn't sound like that person even knows what the hell's going on with they really should put a content creator who knows how to do YouTube videos out ahead of YouTube. Twitter has the same problem. The joke is that most of the management at Twitter doesn't even know how to use Twitter. So, Jesus Christ, the CFO is always using it wrong and sending out, instead of using private direct messages, he sends everything out through the public stream.
So what's your next news item? Because I got something I want to talk about, if you don't mind popping over.
All right, the next news item is IFTTT.
That's exactly what I want to talk about.
3 new apps. They renamed the IFTTT IF, so it looks like they're moving the branding to something small, shorter and smarter and easy to remember, because I can never remember what it is. I always tell people the IFFTTFF whatever thing.
It's not complicated, man. It's if this, then that.
I realize that, but when I'm trying to have a conversation, I don't need people that use stuttering. Chris, are you fucking retarded? If you have the IFTTT app on your phone, I sent a picture through the.
So if this, then that, it is a little bit of a tongue twister. So it's interesting, Yo, sponsors of the Yo Suite back at CES. Yo basically is hooked into if this, then that, and there's all sorts of new functions and features that I'm not sure 90% of people who ever installed Yo looked at. Yo's a really interesting app now. It does a lot of cool stuff. It notifies me when there's news. I can watch Product Hunt, although I have Product Hunt app also on my phone. I can watch particular people, so if I care about what you post on Product Hunt, or if I'm looking at your blog, there's all these things that I can set notifications. And I get, if I was the kind of guy who posted a lot of stuff to social media that was timely, newsworthy information, it's a great tool for that kind of stuff. And then if this, then that decides to rebrand and put the do button, so you now can have a button on your device to do things, like turn your lights off on the way home or something. It still seems pretty nerdy to me. I don't know how many people. It's cool to me. It's a neat gadget, but I'm not sure how many people are actually going to use this. Is this a growth move for this company, or is it the death rattle?
No, it's definitely growth. I mean, IFTTT, now the if thing. Talk about brand confusion. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's it's like when Federal Express just finally said, well, everyone calls us FedEx anyway. But no, what they're doing is there's a do button, there's going to be the do camera and the do note. I can't find the do camera and do note apps yet, even though it's been announced. I'm reading TechCrunch on this. I did find the do button, and I've downloaded it. It almost seems a little redundant. I haven't got enough time to spend with it, but it seems like it might be a little redundant to the IFFT button, or the if.
IFTTT. It's just the if this, then that.
You can see the app here. It's got Do Essentials.
Yeah, it's a cool toy. It's a cool toy.
Well, it's not really so much a toy. I don't know how well that's not getting seen. Fuck that. But this is integrated with is the new home automation features, and this is one of the products we'll be reviewing on the Chris Voss Show. We always do at the end of this segment thing on products. So. One of the products we'll be reviewing on home automation is the ORT LED, and we've got the ORT port. So we'll be reviewing that ORT port. This thing is basically, I guess you can have 16 million colors through this LED light. You can sit there with your app and control the colors. And I guess this is a plug-in port that you can do, and of course you control everything through your app. But what this is. These are all designed to do with IFFT, or at least if they're integrated, is that you can control them and everything else. One home automation. So really, what it's doing is addressing home automation. One thing I have is Smart Things is an app we've been reviewing and a home automation system we've had, and I'm really happy. In fact, we're going to be keeping it here at the house, and I've started installing it everywhere. Smart Things, and there we are. But what's really cool about them is they extend their platform. They kind of tried to make a platform that isn't closed or walled off, but they made it so that it will adapt to other things. So like with my Smart Things, I can integrate it with IFTTT, and I can tell it to do things. And now it also integrates, even though it's not their product, with, like, say, for instance, my drop cam, or it'll integrate with what is it called? Slag locks, the people that make locks and stuff like that. But what I can do is I can control it to do certain things where, like, say you trigger a motion alarm at my front door, I can get it to turn on the drop cam camera, take a picture or turn on, and then I can get video of you to know, who's at my front door, or whatever the case may be. And so a lot of these new things that IFTTT, the new If app or Do app, what they're doing is they're making it so that you can control more of these Internet of Things, these smart products. So that's what you're seeing addressed in those apps, and why they're going to be fairly popular as far as anyone else can tell. So I'm just getting flooded with these home automation things. I mean, it was like every other booth at what was it? Every other booth at CES 2015 was home automation. It was just like, it was really hard to just walk through it. It was like, oh, you have home automation. What does yours do? It controls the lights and the plugs. Yeah, yours the last.
Only time I've seen this home automation. The only time I ever saw this home automation thing look even remotely interesting was when I walked up to Scoville's house, and he met me in his front yard because his house, he had a is it the Nest? Is that the one? It's not the Nest. It was some camera he had.
Drop cam. He has the drop cam. I got it for him.
Right.
I got drop cam to send it to him.
Took a picture of me walking up to the house, and it shows up on his iPhone. He walks out and meets me in the front yard. I thought that was kind of cool. That looked kind of neat. Although other than snooping on people walking up to your property, or maybe some kind of automation with controlling your electricity, where does this go? I mean, where does home automation get interested?
Well, you kind of really see where the Internet of Things is going. I mean, home automation is going to be really big. You're going to have, I forget how many products there are that potentially can go in your home. I saw it at the AT&T Developer Summit, but like your whole home is going to be on the Internet. Your refrigerator, the old CEO of Google, I think he's now the whatchamacallit, he's the chairman, talked about how really the Internet's going to disappear because everything in your home is going to be the Internet. And your refrigerator is going to talk to you. I mean, Jesus Christ, I was looking at a crock pot the other day, and the crock pot, they have a crock pot out now. It's like $129. You can buy it. It integrates with an app on your phone, and it can, call you to go, hey, the food's done on the crock pot. Or you can dial in to tell it to, turn its temperature down if you're going to be longer and stuff like that. Every damn thing you're going to have is going to be on the Internet of Things. And every your lamp's going to be talking to the Internet, and so really there's two big questions, and one that was really talked about a lot at the AT&T Developer Summit at CES, and a lot of people talked about it because the Sony hack was still going around at that time, is the security aspect of it. I mean, will I be able to hack into Jason Nunnally's computer through his fucking lamp?
Well, I think what might be more horrifying is, would it be substantially difficult or complicated for you to, say, for example, open my house up?
Yeah, that too. I mean, the biggest thing is going to be the security of these devices. We all know how important computer security is, and companies other than know.
I think you're wrong. I'm going to be honest with you. I think you're wrong. I think people don't realize how important it is. When the Edward Snowden stuff came out, I heard basically two sides of that conversation. One was, look how disgusting our government is. The other one was, he's a traitor. He should have kept his mouth shut. We don't need to know about this kind of thing. What most people didn't talk about is, holy crap, look how easy it was for the government to get backdoors into everybody's computer.
Yeah.
And I just think that people don't care. I think that people have, Big Brother's watching. Big Brother is 90% corporate. It's 90% sponsored by commercial interests. Watch. I go look at a website because somebody shares a link with me about something really niche, something like tracking server automation, for example, or distributed systems. And I go to Facebook, and next thing I know, those guys are advertising to me on Facebook. And I'm like, what? Well, hold on a second. Is Facebook somehow tracking my visit to a blog? It wasn't like I clicked a link on Facebook. I shop something on Amazon. Next thing I know, the product I'm shopping on Amazon is showing up on blogs. I'm being tracked all the time. That is a security problem. If you were concerned about stalkers, and you had the same guy walking behind you, 30 steps behind you, all day long.
Yeah, but wouldn't we? There's an acceptable thing of cookies and adware. I mean, to me, I would call that adware. Me hacking into your computer through your lamp so that I can turn on your Dropbox to watch your wife nude in the office changing.
Turns out the FBI does that. It turns out they
yeah, but they can do that legally. They're the U.S. government. Remember, it's like I said yesterday in the podcast. Remember, if you do the hacking, you'll go to jail. If the government does it, it's just fine.
But I mean, that's why I'm saying I don't think people are concerned about it. I don't think that there's a big concern among consumers about security.
Here's what the challenge really is. I mean, yeah, I think you're right. Consumers really don't care, but no one wants to get dragged. No company wants to get dragged in the press like Sony did and hung out to dry for exposing it. So no one wants to get the letters of calling before Congress, all that bullshit.
Did that hurt?
About the PR aspect of it and the effect on their ability to sell products. So
yeah, but I wonder. Let me give you an example. I wonder, did it hurt Sony? The fact that they got probably hacked by, script kiddies. It wasn't a particularly sophisticated hack, from what I understand. Did that really hurt Sony? Did it hurt Lenovo with this information coming out? You and I are talking about it, but
it really hurt Sony. It hurt their relationships with movie stars. I mean, some of the people said some really ugly things about some movie stars.
Okay.
So was it about there's a lot of management that's been demoted from it, and I'm sure they're not probably getting pay raises anytime soon.
Yeah, I just wonder, did it really hurt them because of the fact that they didn't secure their networks and didn't take care of their security protocols, or was the issue that they said, some famous person was a jackass? What was the real? I don't think people care about security. I don't think there's any evidence that people care about security. If they did, they'd change the way they do business. They'd change the way that they function.
Yeah, I think people, social media and people, kind of catch the top news of the day and beat whatever drum beats. And so if the Wall Street Journal runs with the lead that, XYZ company exposed your security, boo, ha ha, and all the news agencies run with it as the lead story on the 5 o'clock news. Then it gets some stuff and it hurts your brand name, and I think companies just don't want that. So I think that's really what it's about, because ultimately it might hurt some sales a little bit, because people, there's a lot of people I'll talk to that'll be like, well, I heard that brand name was bad, there was something about it, and I'll be like, what was it? They'll be like, I don't know, I just heard something. And you're like, well, then shut the fuck up if you don't remember what it was. So I think there are brands that are concerned about it more than consumers. I think you're right. Consumers don't give a shit, or at least they won't. I mean, God knows they forget everything within 3 weeks.
What were we talking about again?
I don't know. So that's pretty much it on the stuff I want to talk about today for the top news for the Chris Voss Show. The OLED, or the ORT product, we'll be reviewing, of course. That's one of the things we always do. Anything else you want to put in there, Jason?
No, I've complained all I need to today.
Oh, cool, man. I doubt you've filled your bucket, knowing how much you enjoy complaining. But there's always a bar for you to go to somewhere. But speaking of complaining, Does your wife know that you've set up shop in the living room? It looks like you've even moved a picture behind you.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this. It's like 10 degrees here.
Yeah.
So I basically found a spot that I feel warm and comfy, and I don't have my heat on in the office. So
Yeah.
I moved up here. Yes.
Because I was pretty sure your wife didn't allow you in the living room in any way, shape, or form.
I'm allowed only when I'm watching television with her. If we're watching Netflix together, I'm allowed in the living room, but otherwise I'm banned from the upstairs completely.
Laura, if you're watching this, I told him not to. I had nothing to do with what he's doing here. So
I can assure you she's not watching.
I'm sure that someone is. So anyway, and you
one of her people. Huh? One of her people are watching.
One of her people. Wives have this way of having a radar, and your wife has some very intense radar. But you have a picture down behind you. Why don't you light that fireplace? Then you'll be warm.
It's funny you mentioned that. I really want to get a chimney sweep and get the fireplace cleaned up so I can run the fireplace. I've got 2 fireplaces in the house, and I knocked the chimney off of one of them last year or 2 years ago. This is actually a point of contention, speaking of issues my wife has with me. I knocked the fireplace chimney off. This one over here is in the living room. I need to get it chimney swept so we can burn fire in it.
Are you actually drinking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Did you just catch that?
Yeah, I did. You're something else. I wish
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock where your wife's at. All right. Well, hopefully Laura will not figure out that you are like a bad dog. You have invaded the living room of whatever there. So
we're actually getting this. We're going to do a remodel up here. So maybe the living room will be a nice new color in a couple of weeks.
Hey, maybe you should paint that thing as long as she's not around. That should make her happy when she comes back. I'm
going to abstain from that. I think that's probably bad advice.
All
right. No, I have nothing else to complain about. I'm done.
All right, Jason. Thanks for joining us today on the Chris Voss Show. Be sure to check out Jason. Jason, what's your Twitter thing deal? Whatever.
A Twitter thingy deal? 5, the number 5, DAY is in a day, app is in those things you have on your phone. 5-day app.
Yeah. All right, man. And be sure to check in the chrisvossshow.com often. Be sure to watch the daily news show we're doing, like this one, where every day we cover the top 5 news and a product review and whatever else we want to talk about. Thanks for coming by, guys.
Chris is the one that's not drinking, by the way.
I know. I'm sober as a dog. Which, yeah.